Well, the late Pops Mohamed is a nomadic poet with a horn, weaving together the frayed threads of our lives and leaving behind a trail of notes that persist long after the last chord had faded. The multi-instrumentalist, he passed away last week, of course, 6 days before his 76th birthday. So his music, it just reminds music lovers that home transcends geography, and it's a feeling that settles deep within when the rhythm finds its beat. Each note that he created tells a story in a language older than a speech, a dialogue between Africa's pulse. So this morning, to pay tribute to the icon, we're going to be joined by Tseliso Monaheng and pianist Maxwell Baloy. Maxwell, in fact, is in studio, and hopefully we'll get Tseliso online as well. Good morning, and thank you for your time at this hour.
Good morning, thank you for inviting me.
It's a somber moment as we reflect on the impact of Pops Mohamed, but obviously we also sit here and we celebrate his life and his legacy. And for you, I mean, as a pianist, as a musician, can you tell us about your own encounter with him and how he would have impacted your own expression through your music and work?
I mean, if it wasn't for Pops Mohamed, I wouldn't understand African music. I wouldn't understand the indigenous instrument that made with so-called modern instruments. I wouldn't understand the soundscape. I wouldn't even understand the way we have to preserve our own sounds, which is African sound, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And so with your own evolution and finding your own sound, how did you incorporate elements of Pops Mohamed into your own work along the years?
I mean, we speak of the latest project that I've done, which is solo piano, Healing Palms. Most of the songs and most of the compositions are coming from these themes, which of course, transcription of mbira, transcription of kora, transcription of mouthbow to piano.
Sure. What a memorable time. And I mean, working alongside him, collaborating, the energy, that fusion as well. Any memorable moments that stood out for you that would have impacted your own, your work, how you also would have transcended knowing that you're on that same stage?
I think one memorable part that I always grateful of, when I was introduced to Kobe, the son, which of course he was a mentor to Bra Pops. It's Kalahari Desert Festival, where we're joined by the San people, the large ensemble with those overtones and indigenous knowledge as well.
So, I mean, what happened at the festival? Tell us a little bit more, just as we recap, obviously, that impact you would have had.
It's obvious, it was not really practiced. There was no result for that. It was just a present moment, which, of course, Mohamed always emphasized on that must live in the moment. And whatever we're creating, it doesn't have to be rehearsed, because you cannot rehearse life.
What a moment, and we're better for it as well.
Thank you so
I mean,
much.
even if we're looking at the role that he's played in bridging the gap between indigenous knowledge and sounds as well, and contemporary music as well, what impact do you think he's also had? How do you think that baton now gets to be handed over to future generations?
It's so simple. You know, all these indigenous instruments, all these indigenous sounds always identify our location. I mean, if you go to New York, there's no way that you're going to play jazz far much better than people who are based in New York. When you come to South Africa, there's no way that you can play. I'm just giving an example, Maskandi, like our Zulu people are doing. So it means the sound emphasize the identity as well. And I believe these things can be bridged in between. That's what he's been doing. Yeah. He used to call himself futuristic. So it means he had lots of collaboration with young artists, and he was even keen to jump into amapiano, you know. Unfortunately, he had to transcend.
Well, he bridged that gap for generations. He became intergenerational as well. But he was also part of our socio and political fabric and that landscape, because there's obviously a method where you tap into that indigenous knowledge. There's no ways you can divorce it from the social fabric of society and what's playing out. How do you think you also played a role on that front in our liberation?
I mean, you look at albums or project called Black Disco. Yeah. That was activism music. And you look at your ancestral healing. Mohamed has been emphasizing about this part where, like, music and frequency can liberate people, and the only healing force it can only come through the music. Remember, in order to understand the culture, in order to understand the community, you must go through the music and the melodies.
Yeah, absolutely. And even just the way he was able to bring the music out to formal spaces, because the music is spiritually grounded. And I mean, that's the experience that you had about just being in the moment. But we look at how it's studied, the academic prowess as well, how our sounds are added to that mainstream, right, as well. That's also part of our cultural reclamation that he was part of. How would you weigh in on the importance of that as well?
I think the most important part and what Pops Mohamed did with all these workshops, I mean, we're not talking about only South Africans. He traveled globally. He's been doing lots of workshops around the world. What we can do is to go through the archives and try by all means to skim into the syllabus or to the program. And I think we just have to emphasize on the part of learning the indigenous instruments, and we afford space for the new generation to understand these legends, you know.
Yes.
What's new was old, and what's old, it's new. So it means we have to take care of the old, and we must be deliberate about this part of archiving and learning from these, because, I mean, we learn from the mentors.
Yeah, well, long live Pops Mohamed, long live his legacy, long live his spirit as well. Thank you, Maxwell, for joining us, for paying homage to him. I'm going to leave this conversation here, but I know that there's a performance in honor of him, so we'll see you in just a moment.
Thank you.
Pianist Maxwell Baloy paying tribute to the jazz giant, the late Pops Mohamed.